Baruch Hashem, we're studying the Haggadah. So right at the beginning of the Haggadah is the section called Halach Ma'anya, where beginning of Magid, where we lift up. That we'll see what it is exactly, but hold on one second. And right after we break the matzah, we start the section called Magid. Magid means we tell the story. And at the beginning of the Magid section is this passage that's called, yeah, it's in there. Here, if you give it to me, I'll give it to you.
More traditional.
I don't think that one. This one I'll have it right here. Here it is. Right here. So right at the beginning of the Haggadah, at the Magid section of the telling the story, we start by telling the story in Aramaic. We say this passage, which I'll read it in Aramaic, and then we'll go into the passage. It says, Holach ma'anya, this is the bread of Anya. We'll see what that means. Diachalu avasana ba'ara de Mitzrayim. That our forefathers ate in the land of Egypt, called Dichven Yete v'Yichol, and all who are hungry come and eat, called Ditre Yete v'Yifsach, and all who are needy come and partake in the Pasch Goyim. Hashata Hacha, this year, now we are here with Shana Haba ba'arad Israel, next year in the land of Israel. Hashata Avdei, this year we're slaves with Shana Haba b'nei Chorin. Next year we will be free. Next year we'll be free. So let's first introduce this passage. So this passage has three parts to it. The first part is that the mitzvah is that, the first part is that matzah is lechem, it's called lechem oni, which is the bread that our forefathers ate in Egypt. And the simplest explanation of what this means is that it means the bread of the poor. And so therefore, it's an invitation, presumably, that the poor people should come to partake in the meal. And it then, well, let me just say like this. It starts by talking about the bread of Oni, then it invites the poor, and then says, next year we won't be here. Next year, we pray that next year we'll be in Jerusalem and we'll be free. So this is this passage. There's three parts to this. This is the opening of the Seder, basically, for all intents and purposes. The opening of the telling of the story of the Seder is this Halach Ma'anya, which starts talking about Matzah's Lechem Oni, then goes to the idea that all poor people are welcome to come and join. And then it concludes with, this year we are here, next year we'll be in Jerusalem. So this passage is found in Maimonides, and it's even found prior to Maimonides. It's not in the Talmud, but it is found in the Seder of Avram Gaon in the Gaonim. But it's not in the Talmud. So it seems like this was established in the time of the Gaonim. It's written in Aramaic, which is not like the rest of the Haggadah. The rest of the Haggadah is almost entirely written in Hebrew. There are a couple of phrases in Aramaic, but most of that, 99% of the Haggadah is in Hebrew, with the exception of this passage. And the commentaries explain that the reason is because it was established in Babylon by the Gaonim, and they wanted people to understand. They wanted people to understand at the beginning. So it would be like it was the vernacular, is what people understood, and that's how they begin. Okay, so that's the simplest explanation. The last words are said in Hebrew. Those are said in Hebrew because. So why do you think those were said in Hebrew? So here, there's an interesting theory about why they're said in Hebrew. Why do you think the last words are said in Hebrew?
Feels like it's anticipating or forward looking into what when we're in our own land, it's our own language.
See, that's interesting that you would say that because that's like the Zionist dream, that the rebirth of the Hebrew language. But there was never really there wasn't that imagination of the rebirth of the Hebrew language. The Jews spoke Aramaic, so or so no, but it's interesting. But so the typical answer that's given by the Rishonim, by the Ravia, who was writing in Germany, by Or Chaim, who's writing in Provence, by Rashbat, who's writing in northern Africa, is that the reason is because they were concerned that if we don't want the nations of the world to know that we're planning on doing this mass exodus. So it's actually ironic that the Haggadah begins, the Haggadah, which is the story of the Exodus, begins by saying, we want our own Exodus. We're praying for our own Exodus, because right now we're in Egypt, but we're praying for our own Exodus, our Exodus from the land we're in. And in fact, we have to keep it a secret, according to this approach. So there are many other answers, which maybe we'll get to. First, we're just going through it in like a bird's eye view.
Rabbi, before the massive Chabad seders in Kathmandu and other places, the largest seder ever was outside of Munich in 1946. There was 5,000 people there, and it was organized by the the Jewish chaplains of the U.S. Army who liberated the people from the camps. So it's very appropriate according to that explanation.
What's very meaning that what?
That we would say the Shana Haba B'nei Chorin and Shana Haba B'Arad Israel, and that was their real dream, and they waited for
People
almost
wanted to get out.
2,000 years to say it.
Yeah, for sure.
They weren't allowed to go in 1946.
Yeah, but they all knew where they were going to be.
Secretly.
They know they knew but they all wanted to be there, and they were on their way. They were going to get there
Somehow.
Yeah. So there's also another big discussion here is the words "this is the bread of affliction" hoach ma'anya, but the Shulchan Aruch Harav or says that actually the proper phrase is "Ki hoach ma'anya," not "this is the bread," but "this is like the bread." So therefore, that's why some people say means say this is not the exact bread, but this is like the bread. We'll have to see what that means. We'll look into the commentaries on it. So we're still looking at the bird's eye view. It says kol dichvin. So the Abu Draham says, since it's very expensive to make Pesach back then, it's also very expensive to make Pesach now. There's a special obligation on Pesach to invite people who are poor. So therefore we say, Kol Dichven, whoever is hungry and he has nothing to eat, doesn't have what to eat, let him come and eat with us. Just like when we were in Egypt, we were all equal in servitude, and anybody who wanted to come could come and eat. So too now we invite everybody to eat. And then it says, called Ditzrech Yesev Yifsach. Whoever is in need, come and partake in the Paschal Lamb. What's the difference between called Dichvin and called Ditzrech? What's the difference between let all who are hungry and all who are needy? So what's the difference between them? Between these two phrases?
mean, you could be a wealthy person and you're hungry. If you're needy, you're probably hungry and needy.
Interesting. It's interesting. I didn't look at it like that way. Usually people say it's the opposite way. That you cannot be hungry, but you could still be in need of the stuff for the Paschal Lamb. That you could have plenty of food, but you don't have what you need for the Pesach. You don't have the Pesach, you don't have the matzah.
Does needy mean just being poor, or is it being used in need of, like, lacking something?
So that's what others say very nicely, like Ben was saying, that they refer to two different lacks. One is let all are hungry come and eat, and called ditzrech, whoever's in need, whoever's in spiritual need. Let him come partake of the Paschal Lamb. Whoever's spiritually, he doesn't have, he's lacking the spiritual resources to achieve a meaningful Pesach. So let him come and partake. Let him come and partake in the Paschal Lamb. This is an advantage that we have now, which we didn't have in the time of the Beis Hamikdash. When the Beis Hamikdash was standing, you couldn't do it like that. You couldn't say, let all who are hungry come and eat. It wasn't allowed because you had to pre-register. Like, what?
How'd you do that?
They had a registration. They had the world functioned before cell phones. And so they had a pre-registry, and you had to be registered on the Paschal Lamb. But nowadays, you don't need to be registered. You just say, let all who are hungry come and eat. So it's almost like we have this golden opportunity to engage with more people. How are you doing, Aryeh? Hello, Aviel here. We're studying. Good, take Haggadah. We're studying the Haggadah now.
Can I find one?
Right here in front of us.
Thank you.
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem.
Love the new Becca stuff.
You see the IDF, Tzahal.
That's awesome.
Good luck with that.
Oh, it's great. It's great.
Aviel and I we traveled to the Rosh Chodesh davening together.
Sure did.
It was in American Dream Mall.
Pictures around on the website.
I did a couple of pictures. Yeah, I did a couple of pictures. But so we're studying the opening phrase of the Haggadah, the opening passage of the Magid is the Halach Ma'anya. So then we're still looking the bird's eye view before we get more into it. And then we get into the question at the end of the Halach Ma'anya, Hashata Hacha. This year we're here, which is kind of like obvious. Where else would you be? This year we're here. Of course, wherever you are, you are. And L'Shana Haba B'Aretz Yisrael, next year in the land of Israel. Hashata Avdei L'Shana Haba B'nei Chorin. This year we are slaves. The next year, come on in, Kobe. Kobe, how you doing? Take Haggadah. What?
Good, how are you?
Amazing. Kobe, do me a favor. Text Ezra. Make sure he said he's coming. I want to make sure he didn't forget about us. Text him. I know you have his number, right?
Yeah.
Thanks. Hold on 1 second.
There's a crash.
There was a crash?
They crashed.
We ran into the fire truck.
Well, that's not why they're late. But there was a girl who a lot of people know. Maybe you know her. She was in the front seat. She had brain. She was seriously injured. She has friends. What?
We're at 16th Street?
No, in this Canadian airplane that crashed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Everybody's saying tell him. It was obviously. It's terrible. Okay, so now it says we're just doing the last part of this phrase. This year we're here, next year in the land of Israel. This year we're slaves. next year we'll be free. So the question is, what do you mean this year we're slaves? I mean, right now, I see a lot of Jews, they're going down to Florida, they're spending like $6,000 a person on the hotel program and the Pesach program. They got the all you can eat in the tea room. They got Shweki coming in on Chol Moed. They got steak every night for dinner. What kind of slavery is this? If this is slavery, it seems pretty attractive. So what do you mean this year we're slaves? I mean, I could understand actually, in Israel where they're living in bomb shelters now, but does it feel like slave? Why is the slavery here? This year we're slaves. What were you saying, Aviel?
I was gonna say, what if you're in Israel? Does the Girsa change?
This year we're here. Next year in Jerusalem.
Like I'm saying, if you're spending Pesach in Israel, like
Yeah, usually I don't know. Usually they say Lashana Haba Ba'aret Yisrael. So usually they say Lashana Haba B'Yerushalayim Habnuya. That's rebuilt. But it's a good question. What does it mean? This year we're here. Next year we're free. So
But isn't,
yes,
Rabbi, isn't this just the sort of right from the very beginning?
right.
This is telling us what we're later going to be commanded, which is you have to act as though you are the one. You're here at the Seder table, wherever you are, but you're actually the person who was enslaved and was then liberated. That's what we're doing the whole night.
Fair, but that's not what we're saying here. This is not saying act like you were in Egypt and now you're being liberated. It's saying this year we're enslaved and we're praying for future liberation. And so the question then is this not the reenactment of the Egypt story? It's saying that God, who took us out of Egypt, can again take us out to freedom. But why are we slaves? I mean, maybe for a lot of Jewish history, some of us were slaves, but there was a lot of times in Jewish history where many people were not enslaved, like the Rothschilds, and there's a lot of golden ages of Jewish community. Jewish community, you meet some people and they assume that every Jew is wealthy. I mean, what does it mean? The Jews are enslaved here. Every house here costs a minimum of $1 million. Okay, in Camp Mill, maybe it costs a little bit less, but it's still, these houses are hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is not a enslaved community. What do you mean by saying this year we're slaves? I cut you off, Ben?
Well, I guess I still think the reenactment, I think if you have to take it seriously, but maybe there's two different things happening at once. So one is that we are, wherever we are, we're slaves because we are diving right into the reenactment. But I think what you're maybe getting at is maybe there's a way in which, right apart from the reenactment, we are in need of something that we don't have, and we need some kind of liberation. It might not be material liberation, but that's what that's what we're trying to focus on.
I mean, for sure that we should go in that direction, but I just want to even strengthen the point. Like people are saying, like the Israeli army is now, like, not since, I think we could say this, not since King David, the time of King David has the Jewish people had such a hegemony and such a powerful army. Like which nation around Israel is as strong as militarily as Israel? I mean, and we're still saying we're slaves. Like if we're slaves, then what does freedom look like? I'm sorry, I speak loudly so I can hear you every word.
are we not enslaved in Palestine?
So how are we enslaved here? How are we enslaved?
Yeah, on the basement of.
So we don't have the Mashiach. So if we don't have the Mashiach, we're not redeemed. Is what you're saying? Without the Messiah, we're not redeemed.
Yeah. He was one of my teachers books about the Haggadah. He was like, Pesach today is like a kind of like a dress rehearsal for Pesach to come. The Korban Pesach.
So our lives are incomplete. So we're slaves in the sense that
I mean, who's not enslaved today, like for the government. You think about it? Because Mashiach comes, everyone will just learn. You don't need to work, whatever.
First of all, I don't agree with that. I don't necessarily agree with that. with that thesis that in the time of Mashiach, everybody will just work because everybody will just study Torah and will not work. I don't agree with that thesis. That doesn't necessarily mean what the time of the that doesn't sound like utopia to me. I mean, when you think about it, God said to Adam, God placed Adam into the Garden of Eden to work and to guard it. So what he didn't say he placed you in the Garden of Eden to study Torah all day.
But he had sustenance from the moon there.
I can definitely envision a world
Like,
where you don't necessarily need to work for food because the food will be so plentiful. Robots will be making our food. This is what the Talmud envisioned, that all the work will be done by others. The robots will be making our food. But the idea that the utopian world is where everybody's just studying Torah all day and nobody's contributing to the world through creativity, through new inventions, through productivity, I don't necessarily think that's utopia.
I definitely agree with that, but I think it was today I was listening to Rob Bird share. He was talking
Who?
about
Mordechai Baruch, Hall of Mavs.
From where?
But not Hall of Mavs.
Oh, okay, good.
he was talking
I don't know
about-
him, but I'm love to hear what he says.
about the time of Mashiach about how you don't have to work. People just learn and
That's what's going on right now. I mean, there's a lot of people doing that today. They're not working. Right. Right. There's no question. I mean, I could see that happening with this world where everything becomes automated and we don't need to work anymore. I could definitely see that happening. Like all the work is done by robots, like the type of work that would have taken us years to do. We could do in 2 seconds now. I could write a whole essay in 30 seconds. And not only that, don't tell your teachers this, but it'll be way better than anything I could write or anybody could ever write. The only time, I'll give you everybody a secret, the only time I get positive feedback on the essays and the letters I write is I do experiments. Sometimes I write it, sometimes I ask ChatGPT to write the whole thing. When I do it with ChatGPT, everybody's like, wow, that was amazing. When it's me, nobody says a word. So everybody has a personal bias. You think your work is better. The computer is way better than us, way better than we'll ever be. And the computer's only getting better and we're only getting worse. So yeah, I could definitely see a world where we don't have to work for food. The food will be provided for. But I guess we're going on a little bit of a tangent because what does it mean that we are slaves now?
Well, slaves to our own desires, money, please people. It's up for ego.
So we're not in control of our destiny. That's what it means. So basically, not physically, but we're not in control of our destiny. I mean, there were people who said this, like the hostages. When were the hostages released?
The last of them?
Yeah.
Women, that was a year and a half ago.
No, the last men.
Slave.
No, the last men. Well, anyway, the point is, there have definitely been people who were enslaved physically or in captivity, but for most of Jewish history, has to be the sense that we're living in an unredeemed world, that the world is not the mystical vision or the utopian vision that the rabbis, whatever it is, if it's Torah study all day or if it's Torah with some sort of productivity in the world, creativity, growth, that this is not the utopian vision. This world right now today, this is not our last, this should not be my last stop. Washington, D.C., Hemlock Street should not be our last stop in life. That there is a brighter future, which is a more redeemed world, which is missing from us now. And we have to be working. I guess what I'm trying to say is this is the point of the Pesach Seder for us to remember that our life needs to be improving. We need to be getting to a higher place, a better spiritual place, a place of greater spiritual service of Hashem. I think. Okay, we have a little bit more. So let me go back to this phrase. Let's go here. So here, let's talk about this a little bit. Why do we? Oh, this is a great question. How come we're only asking for the coming year to be free? Why don't we ask for this year to be free? Why are we waiting so long? What do you think about that?
It's a bomb kasha.
What?
It's a great kasha.
This is the beginning of the spring. So instead of talking about the immediate. That's it right now.
I want to give you a geschmack answer here. This is a geschmack answer. Why do we say this year we're here and next year we'll Hashat Achal Shana Haba next year in Jerusalem? Why not tomorrow in Jerusalem?
Maybe you value it more if you have to wait and work for it.
Okay, certainly you have to value more everything if you have to work for it. But the Satmar Rebbe says that it's the purpose of it is to tell us that next year we want to be able to do the mitzvot of tonight properly. It's talking about the night of the Seder, that the night of the Seder is incomplete. The night of the Seder is incomplete. That's the concept. The concept is the night of the Seder is incomplete. So next year, we don't have an opportunity to get this night back. It's too late.
Because it's now.
Because it's now. And we were saying, so the concept here is also we should feel something lacking in our lives. I mean, and this is the question, do people feel, this is something that everybody can ask at their Seder. Do you feel there's something lacking in your life, like spiritually? And if you don't feel that, then you're missing something. Then you're so far off.
You're hopeless if you're.
No, not hopeless. Nobody's ever hopeless. But if you don't feel that there's something lacking, then you need the Seder the most. Because the point of the Seder is to be striving for redemption.
I also love the fact that it starts with this bread of affliction. This is the terrible bread of affliction. Come and eat some with us. But of course, so then it becomes the bread of freedom, right? This is the whole thing. It's this both.
Beautiful.
By the end of the verse, the end of the three sentences.
That's amazing. I love that, Ben. All right, we'll stop here to daven mincha at this time. Yes, Shakor.
Maybe